Hey guys, welcome to Brian's Man Cave, episode 92. Today I'm going to be doing another comparison video, and it's a car game, obviously. It's Bump and Jump. And so the comparisons I'm going to be doing, unfortunately I need to use the emulators for two of them, because I just don't have them. I don't have the physical cards. But, so I'm going to be using my portable again, my flashback portable. This thing comes in really handy for me, you know, because obviously I don't have every single game, especially the rarer ones. The ones that came out later, and you know, some of them are more expensive and hard to get your hands on. I do have the original Intellivision one though, Bump and Jump. I had to rebuy this one because, you know, I had it when I was younger. It was actually one of the last games I ever bought for my original Intellivision, the one I had when I was a kid. And then apparently I sold it off with the rest of my stuff. So I had to go and, you know, I found it again, so I bought it. And Coleco. Now, again, I'm using my flashback. I've been using this a little bit more because, frankly, my real Colecovision seems to give me a hard time. And, again, I don't have the actual cartridge for it. But that's okay. I mean, if I have the real cartridge, I'll use it in most cases. But for these situations, I'm just going to have to go with what I got. And this seems to be pretty good. I mean, it does emulate pretty well. The games are pretty much the same. The good thing is you get to use this controller instead of the heavier, bulkier original controller. I find this one isn't so hard on the hand. So anyways, yeah, so we're going to look at Bump and Jump, which it's a classic game. A lot of people played it in different systems, and I just picked these three because these are the three that I've typically played it on. And let's take a look at them because, you know, I'm pretty sure they're all vastly different in their own way. Okay, let's start off with Bump Jump for the Atari 2600. Yeah. So these are your cars, obviously. I mean, the object of this game is quite simple. You just want to bump into the cars, and you can actually jump on them, and this is your car jumping. Hence the name Bump and Jump. But then you also have to jump over those lake pieces, which, you know, gradually get harder as you move along. It's not just a big huge patch of water. It could be in strips and stuff like that. You'll see. And the interesting thing is, whoops, here's where I was talking about. The water's not always just a big solid patch of water. The thing about this game is each car does something different. I know that the skull thing, you can't bang him from the bottom, I think it is. It kills you immediately. Or is it the dump truck? I can't remember. One of them does that. Oh! I didn't heed my warning. They give you that nice little warning sign that there's going to be water. You're going to have to jump. Now, how this car jumps in the first place, I have no idea. Of course, every car you blow up, you get more points. You get, was it 500 points every time you blow up a car? Doesn't really matter how. I mean, as long as you kill them. You can actually land on them. Like that. Whoa. Cars. I know it's hard to see. It's like yellow and stuff. Yellow and green. So this is a seasonal game, so we're going into like... Whoops. Going into the spring and summer and winter. Oh, not a bad version of the game, really. I mean, you can tell what's going on. The cars look a little funny. Especially the skull and crossbone car. It doesn't even look like a car, it just looks like a skull and crossbone. And that dump truck thing just looks like an O. Whoa! Just barely cleared that. I mean, it's a pretty decent version. It does its job. Kinda looks like the Bump and Jump car. Music's not bad. You get this nice music throughout the game. Not very common with Atari games. Lots of Atari games have like no sound, or they just have a little bit of sound effect. So this is pretty decent. I mean, I wouldn't complain about this if I was when I was a kid if I had this. Whoa. This game does kind of remind me of Spy Hunter a lot. I was thinking of doing a video about comparing it to Spy Hunter. Oh, maybe I will. Alright, so now we're on to the Intellivision version. Right off the bat, we're looking at a completely odd-looking screen. I mean, that's supposed to be a car. That's your bump and jump car thing. I can see that that's a dude there steering. It just looks weird that the wheels are like all wobbly like that, and the trees kind of look more like a fire than a tree. But whatever. Okay. I mean, it's pretty cool for what it is. 1983 Mattel, 1982 Data East. We're just going to get going here. Number of players, let's go with the 1. It's only me. And there we go. You can see the music is pretty much the same as the Atari, but the graphics are much different now. I mean, the car looks different. But then again, all the other cars kind of look the same. Oh, looks like there's a tank there. It's kind of odd to see a tank. Much like the Atari one, I can jump. I like how the car kind of like morphs as it jumps. Now we're into a bridge area. This wasn't on the Atari, I don't think. If it was, it didn't look like this, anyways. Again, this is starting to look a little bit more like Spy Hunter. There we go. We get the same kind of warning, and you can do the same things on this one. You can land on them. You can bump them into the ground, bump them into the whatever the shore, whatever is over there. No, it's not shore. We're not on water. I don't know what they're hitting, but they're hitting something. Rocks. Whoa. Not doing very well in bumping them off the road, though. There we go. Boing, boing. I guess those are the skull and crossbones. They look more like, they look more like a vehicle now. Whereas in the Atari one, they were literally just skull and crossbones. And they're black in this one. Oh, well, that was cool. Landing in the water actually made a splash and actually sunk into the water. That was pretty neat. Very good graphics, I would say, for that one. Oh, what did I do? I thought I pushed the button. But I guess I didn't. I do find this a little easier now using the disc controller on the Intellivision. And controlling the car. It's like a steering wheel almost. If you remember, I had a hard time. If you watched my watch me suck at this game, I think the first edition, the first one I did of it, I did auto racing on the Intellivision, and I had a hard time controlling the car with the disc. But to be fair, this is really just going straight. In auto racing, you're actually going around and... Oh look, another little gas station and a tree. Next season, spring. Oh, now we got some red. The graphics on this are surprisingly well done. I really enjoyed the graphics. And, like, well, this game, for whatever reason, I remember was one game that I got later on. I don't know if this got released later on. It did say 83, 82 in the screen, but I don't know if this was actually sold on the shelf at that time. I think maybe it was one of those games that came out later. Could be wrong, though. I do remember, though, buying this game, and it was around the time when Intellivision games and Atari games were almost no longer being sold. It was a computer store, actually, I found it in, and they only had like a few on the shelf. I bought this and Pinball. Both really great games, excellent games for the Intellivision. Boing. I like the little boing sound it makes. Oh, ah! And I just blew up into a big haze of fire. Game over. Okay, so now we're back to onto the Colecovision, I should say. So we got a date of 1982, Data East, 1984. Yeah, obviously the arcade came out first. Okay, so we got this screen. Do you want to use your standard controller or the expansion module number 2? I don't have that. That's the actual steering wheel. I don't have any of the expansions actually for the Colecovision. The first expansion was the Atari adapter one that you can actually plug Atari games into your Colecovision and play Atari games. But the expansion module 2 was a little steering wheel with a gas pedal thing and all that. I don't have it, but you know, maybe one day I'll pick one up if I can get my hands on it. I wouldn't want to spend a lot of money on it. I think I only have like one game that will work with it. This obviously is on the flashback. I don't think it'll work on a flashback either. Okay, let's get going here. So, I mean, the music again, it's very similar. So one thing I noticed is the ability to jump in this game. You have to be going at a certain speed in order to jump. So if you're not going fast enough, you're not going to jump. Again, the graphics are, you know, they're okay. I think I still prefer the Intellivision graphics over this one, but whoa, that was kind of cool. Just like flew into the water, and it's got that same kind of thing that the Intellivision had, where you literally splash in there. Whoa, jumping! The jumping looks cool. One thing I found about all three of the versions, and I think, you know, just this game in general, is that the cars all kind of look weird. Like, some of them look like decent cars. Like this here, what is that? That's not a car. That looks like, I don't know what that looked like. And the bump and jump car itself looks different in all three versions, for sure. In the Intellivision version, it made it look like, you know, this strange-looking old automobile race car, whereas this looks more like an IndyCar style. Oh, there we are. I'm at the gas station. Here we go again. I'm in spring. Oh. I would say though this is kind of similar to the Intellivision version, except, you know, you got the different control style. I don't have the disc anymore. Now I'm using the Colecovision's joystick, which kind of looks like a disc controller, but it's not. It's not the same. It's more like a joystick style. Boom. Whee! The music, I don't know, the music's making me, kind of reminding me of like, whoa, oh. The music's reminding me of more like a Nintendo game. I don't know why, it's kind of reminding me of something you would hear on Nintendo. Whoa. That hurt. Oh. Just love how just touching the side of the road kills you. I mean, those must be some dangerous rocks or something like that. Or, like, literally, my tire just touched it and I exploded. Game over. Oh, that's nice. To continue play, push jump button. Within 2, 1, 0, dead. So that has a continue feature. Interesting. Yeah, so, I mean, all of them are fairly different, and you did notice that. I mean, if it wasn't for the one having different kinds of music styles or, you know, the graphics. Now, to be fair, the Atari always seems to be lagging on a lot of these games, but I don't just go on graphics. I also go on gameplay, how hard the game is, you know, how much fun I have, you know, things like that, history of it. And I think Bump and Jump for the Atari actually was pretty decent. I would have really played that a lot. I played the Intellivision version when I first bought it, so I played it a lot too. I didn't have the Atari at the time, so I didn't really have a choice. But, you know, going back, it did seem like it would have been a really fun game. It did seem like it's on par with some of the other great Atari games out there. Nothing wrong with it. The sound effects was awesome. The fact that it had sound throughout the whole you know, game. It didn't just start off with a little bit of sound and then go silent. It had great sound effects. It was challenging. It's hard. I mean, graphically, sure, some of the cars looked a little funny, But, you know, they had to work with what they had. The Intellivision, I would say, out of the three, was my favorite. That's the one I grew up with. That's the one that I still think looks better. It plays better. And I like the controller on it. Again, a lot of people don't really like the Intellivision controller. It's one of the problems with the system for a lot of people. But I think certain games, it actually comes in handy. It actually works. Actually feels, you know, like you're driving and stuff. And, you know, jumping. You don't have to be doing it all the time, so you don't have to be worried about always pressing the buttons. Because that's another thing with the Intellivision. A lot of people complain about the fire buttons. So at least with this, you only have to jump when that little beep 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 thing happens. Coleco, I don't know. I wasn't crazy about it. Maybe back in the day when people actually bought the driving controller and they actually had the steering wheel or whatever, the expansion number 2, and you know, maybe it would have been a better experience. But overall, I mean, I just thought the Coleco was kind of meh. It could have been better, and like the cars were not too bad. I think that the graphics were okay. It's typical for Colecovision to try and amp the graphics up, but I feel that the Intellivision did a better job on that one. I think that it just kind of, the Coleco was missing something. There was something okay about it. The music was not bad. The music was kind of on par to what I would expect from some of the later systems, like the you know, the Nintendo or whatever. Not that you know, sound that you get out of the Atari, where it just the sound chip on the Atari, but you know, wasn't the greatest. Intellivision was okay for sound too. You know, ultimately all three versions were great. I wouldn't put any of them down. I wouldn't say this one sucked or don't ever play this version, because I think they were all great. And there's probably a lot of other systems where this game appeared on that were probably better. I probably have it for my Commodore 64. I didn't go through my games, but I think I have it. But I just thought, you know, I'll stick with these three. Anyways, hope you liked the comparison. Let me know what you think of Bump and Jump. What system did you play it on? Did you play it on the arcade? Because I don't think I've ever tried it on the arcade. Maybe it's an opportunity for me to get the emulator for it, because obviously they don't have arcades around anymore like they used to. So maybe I can give it a shot and see how it stacks up to the arcade. Anyways, hope you liked the video. Hope you subscribe to my channel. Talk to you later.